Thank you, Denver. Joan and I just joked as we came on stage here because she's already crying and she does get quite emotional. So what we're going to do here today is find out more about Joan and the great work that she's done not only in the Pilbara but all over our state. And I was lucky enough to meet Joan for the first time in February this year, and she's the kind of person that you develop an instant connection with, and I'm sure that you'll have many, many things to learn from her today. So to start us off with, Joan, for those that don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm the second of 6 children, born in Albany to a very happy family. We moved then to Headland. We then moved to Perth for a while, and then we had the opportunity to go and live at Cocos Island. Lived there a couple of years in early teens when it was still people doing all the things that they'd traditionally done for 200 years. So that was a real eye-opener for us, and that was the meat and free veg era, and we got to have like rice and as a savoury, and that wasn't happening at that time. And then I did my schooling in Perth and did Princess Margaret training, and after my nursing training there, did staffing time, went to the UK for a couple of years, came back and went to Carnarvon for 6 years, where I met your aunt and uncle.
There's our connection.
There's all those connections. And in saying that, I'd like to also acknowledge the Yamaji people of Carnarvon who called me Sister Joni. Respect. I love the respect thing. They won't just call you Joni. I was Sister Joni there. I went to Ireland then, where I met and married my husband, and came back to Perth. Oh no, we went to Derby first. Spent 2 years in Derby, so love all the Derby mob as well. Came back to Perth and had our 3 sons in Perth, and then when the youngest was 18 months, no, a bit more, went to Headland. So in the intervening 28 years, I've lived in Headland, where my parents first met, so it's got real ties to me. That's it. I'm only allowed a minute at a time. She's got me on a... And anybody that heard that I was going to do this said, 15 minutes? Never.
So what Joan hasn't touched on is that she's the founder of an organisation called HCLA, so you'll be able to tell us a little bit more about that. But also, the organisation hasn't been funded at all for the 20 years in its existence. So can you tell us more about HCLA, what it is, and how you've managed to be not funded at all for that time?
I don't think it's a kind of thing that, highlights people's interest. The things that the funding bodies want are things that youth and the things that will keep them off the street, and there's Indigenous funding quite, with the mining, that's quite high profile. It's not a thing that grabs people's attention, I think, and we ended up acquiring a daughter, having had 3 sons, by taking one from the hospital. No, not like that. The family actually did major research about who I was, and found out that I had nursed my daughter's great-grandmother and great-great-grandmother. And when her father found that out, and then did some other research from one of our elder women, he then agreed that we would be the best people to take over her care. And that gave me 2 family members with disabilities, having my second born as a preemie baby, and I say, being a nurse, that he has mild cerebral palsy. He says, being a David, that he's just got a bit of a limp. And he's now working for the government in Canberra, so I think a Port Hedland boy as a bureaucrat in Canberra might be a good thing.
So you've told us a little bit about Annika and how the idea for HCLA came about. Tell us, what is HCLA and what have you achieved in the Headland community?
It's an organisation of like-minded families that had lived there unsupported. So we initially started off by recognising that we needed to change how the education system was managing their support workers, housing, health, where we were all going in one person at a time and getting nowhere. And when we went as a group, we got a little bit more action. We got Shire to build wider footpaths and those kind of things. And then as we progressed, we realised that we wanted to do fun stuff as well. So we applied and actually ran in Black Rock Stakes, which is over the years was a local organisation that poured the money that was raised back into the community, and they helped us buy an amphibious vehicle, and that then left us go, you don't like the banana splits? No, that's only the older ones will remember. Those vehicles that go well through snow, go well through tides that move over a 7 metre tide, and so we're able to take people less able up and down depending on the tide, and they could fish until they were blue in the face, which they usually did.
So tell us, what's life like in the Pilbara for people with disabilities? Because I think a lot of the people here in the room may be from the metro area and haven't experienced Pilbara life. So tell us, what are the differences?
Well, we know that because people in Perth think it would be great to have a town in Karratha that's only just come here because of their mining, not a town that's been there for 125 years like Port Hedland. And so they make all their decisions the and they move the centre of the Pilbara down to Broome, which is the edge of the the centre of the Kimberley, down to make it North Pilbara. So a lot of the decisions that are made about what goes on for us in the north is made in Perth by people who have never been there and have no idea about what works for us. But what's fabulous is that we live inclusion. Everybody knows who everybody else is. You get stopped by old Rose Williams saying, I've just had the most wonderful experience. Your son has grown to such a lovely young man and he served me in the bank. And he had one day's work, and they would walk past and see, not a good day for banking, no Dave. Oh, good day for banking, Dave's there. Because the Chinaman that taught him to box and actually hit him, Dave would come back with a big bruise on his face, and because his little legs weren't all that agile, he was delighted that China would hit him in the mush. And I was like, as a mummy, I was struggling with the fact that he let, I told you, don't walk like a cripple. Just get on with it. You're never going to pick up the girls if you walk around and hopping along like that. And he loved it. He adopted the guy that had the pizza place, and he gave him work when he was only about 10. But he just saw that he was lively and gave him the opportunity. So and my daughter danced. She's in a wheelchair, for goodness sake, and she did ballet. For 7 years she did ballet, Shiketti style. And when the teacher wanted to get her, she put her through the exams, and the stuff that she could do with her arms, I can't do it very well, but, soft arms and round fingers and all of that, she could do. Pull up, pull up, pull up, and so nice posture. And the stuff that her feet didn't do, she just got her to demonstrate in her lap with, And so she did 7 years of dance, a long equal age group. I've never seen anybody in the city do that. So she's like the only gay in the village, She's the only spina bifida in town. But she's not, because she's just doing what everybody else is doing. And she has the little shitty turn, I don't want to go to ballet. I said, rightio, when your fees are finished for this semester and you've got a team that you've got to work alongside of, and after this term's finished and you've done the concert, then you can not go to ballet and you'll be right to go to physio for the hour. Oh, all right then, I'll go to ballet. But she never ended up with the rods that most spina bifidas end up in their spine, because she had, I don't think she's got it now because she's not dancing, but all the pull up as she was growing meant that she had a stronger set of abs.
So we've talked about how Annika has experienced inclusion, and as a mother, how warming that is for you. What I'd like to hear about now is the opposite of that. What are the trials of being segregated as a person with a disability?
There's a load of them, and mostly they're hinged on, like I listen to people here in the city saying, such a body, Inclusions WA weren't the ones for me, so I've moved to such a body. We've got no choice. Before, about 5 years ago, the powers that be in the city decided that number-wise, what would be best for us is to have Pilbara Kimberley Care. Can you imagine, you guys that run this, Paul and your gang, can you imagine serving an area that goes from the bottom of the Pilbara, the biggest shire in the world, right up through there, over to the Coonawarrigi, and then all the way up to the top of the Kimberley, and your organisation's going to serve all the people in that area with disabilities? Do you think we got a good service? You want your child my kids can speak, but there are some in our communities that don't have a voice. You see the people down here get to use the voice-activated things, the ones that have eye contact and all the technical. That doesn't happen. You don't have a regular speech therapist there. This new NDIS is going to allow you choice. Yeah, choice about what, who. And the one person there is new, and the new organisation, they've had 5 different CEOs in 5 years. The people from the commission, the local area coordinators also turn over. The only constant is we that live there, and we get disheartened, we get disillusioned, and had to kind of gang together and make our own little gang, because we're the only ones that get it. And we just look after each other. I love it though, in that there's nobody allocated, okay, you're the support worker and you're the person receiving care. You get these guys to go from where they've had that kind of situation, and we go on camp. Okay, who's going to be your support worker? I said, no, you're supporting me, I'm supporting you. You're caring for him, I'm caring for you, and get them to cook and do their day. Everybody just does what everybody else is doing.
So you've got 20 years of experience of running an organisation that is run by the people for the people. So what I want you to finish up with today is if you could tell the audience what your advice is for including people with disabilities and what change they can make.
When we think of ourselves, the best of us, don't introduce ourselves as what our religion is, what our ethnicity is, what our anything is. Like, we shouldn't have to introduce, I'm Craig, I've got spina bifida. You're not Craig spina bifida, you're Craig. And I just think that if we could all see that people that come on the planet with their disability they come already as gratitude awareness raisers. They've got a job, you just haven't employed them yet. They should be in your organisation and just have them gazette a job as gratitude awareness raisers. And every time, if they don't have speech, then every time that they'll have a card to say that if you have to feed them, every time you feed them, they have to take whatever you put in their gob, that they have to have an accessible toilet, that they have to have a pad, that they have to, and you need to be grateful every time you get busting for the toilet. Go to the toilet all on your own, no catheter, no pad, no lie down and have some adult change you. You can go all by yourself, do your own zipper, the whole lot. You should come out of that toilet and punch the air, say, yeah, another day in paradise for me, because that's what having my friends and my family do for me. That every day, you don't need a catheter, you don't need medication, you don't have to go back to the doctor and have him stick another needle in to take more blood from you. It's another day in paradise.
Thank you very much, Joan. So as you can see, Joan is very, very passionate. She's very shy, so you might need to warm her up a little bit before you talk to her, but please have a chat. Thank you so much, Joan, for your time.